It's 2026, and you know what that means. You want to start learning Japanese. Well, today, I'm hopefully going to create a really no BS video to help get you started. So I'm assuming you don't know anything and you want to learn Japanese and you click this video because you don't know where to start. And that's the same questions I had when I started back in like 2019. I didn't know where to start exactly. You had to do a lot of research. It's actually easier now than it was back then. And I feel like it's only getting easier year by year. So, and I finally get to make one of those clickbait videos of how to study Japanese in 2026, as if it really did change from last year. I mean, it doesn't change, but there's always new tools that come out that help make things easier. So that's pretty much the only difference. But I'm going into the assumption in this video that you know nothing and you want to self-study and you want to do it for free. And also I'm going to give you guys a way to, pay a little money if you want for some major convenience. But everything I'm going to talk about in this video can be done completely free. It's just going to take a little bit of setup, which I will kind of walk you through a little bit. Let's get started. Now, every program that I'm going to talk about in this video is going to be linked down below where you can click it and you need to go ahead and download it, because you're going to need that stuff. First things first, you want to download a program called Anki. What it is a flashcard program that uses something called SRS, which stands for Space Repetition System. And it's designed to help you remember things like before you forget it. It's supposed to remind you, that way you really don't forget about anything and you constantly see things. Anything that you have trouble on, you're going to see it over and over again until it sticks in your head, and then you will see it less and less from there on out. So go ahead and download Anki. It's free on a desktop. I don't have an iPhone, but I think it might cost money on iPhone. I think it's free on Android as well. But, double check that. It's been a long time. A lot of things have changed. But the setup I'm going to be talking about in this video is better used on a desktop. So if you have like a laptop or a desktop, that's going to be great. But you can use your phone to study, but it's mostly a desktop thing in order to create flashcards and such. So it's possible to do it on mobile. But yeah, it's going to work a lot better on desktop, to be honest. Now, if you're one of the people that heard Anki and you're like,
no, I don't like flashcards. What if I don't want to do flashcards?
I understand that not everyone likes flashcards, but if you're a beginner, I really think it's probably the most effective way of getting a good base to get you started. And then later on, if you decide that you don't like flashcards, you can completely drop Anki and you can just read Japanese or watch videos. Really, you want to just use Anki if you know nothing to build a good base. And I don't know any program that's better than Anki, because it really takes like you could use a textbook, sure, but Anki is just way faster and more effective, in my opinion, because with a textbook, that's all reliant on you studying and you like writing things down and reminding yourself. This is something that actually just shoves it in your face every single day, just as long as you do it every day. So that's why I recommend Anki. I actually dropped Anki a long time ago, so it's not like you have to have Anki in order to learn Japanese. I think as a beginner, it is a great tool to use. So now that you have Anki downloaded, the first thing you need to do in learning Japanese is learn Hiragana and Katakana. Without Hiragana and Katakana, you're not going to be able to learn new vocabulary and you're not going to be able to read kanji. When you're learning kanji, a lot of times there will be something called furigana that shows you how to read kanji. And it's always going to be in hiragana. So that's why you need to learn those things. So that's going to be your first test when it comes to learning Japanese. Learn those things. And there's a lot of ways to do that. You can find just some random app on the App Store about learning hiragana and katakana. That works. What I did when I was first learning is I just got a chart and I just wrote them down like 5 at a time every single day. I would write them down and try to test myself. You could do that, or you could even download an Anki deck and use the flashcards. If you're a fan of video games, this game on Steam called Learn Japanese to Survive Hiragana Battle. They also have one for katakana. I think this is a very effective game. It's pretty cheap. It's not free, but I'm just saying that I personally did this when I was learning katakana. I didn't do it for hiragana. It actually does work really good if you just skip the story and play the game. It's just an RPG where you battle hiragana and it's constantly making you recall them. And I think it's very, very effective if you want to play it. I recommend it to like my friends who say they want to learn Japanese and stuff. But another guide that I always recommend is the Tofuku Learn Hiragana, the ultimate guide. I'm sure they have one for katakana as well, but this is a really great free resource that you could use to learn, because they have the sounds first of all and how to pronounce them, but they also associate like these little like pictures, like E stands for eel, kind of like just little fun things to help you remember. There's a lot of ways to learn hiragana. You could even download Duolingo to learn hiragana and katakana. It really doesn't matter. Just get it in your head one way or another. And you can use one of the methods that I talked about. Hiragana and katakana should only take you a week or two at max. I know some people that literally did it in like a day or two. Those people are really crazy, but that is totally possible if you really put in the time to do it. Because once you start getting into studying, you're going to be constantly seeing them all the time, and that's going to be a reinforcement. So it really shouldn't take that long to memorize these. So after you download and install Anki, what you want to do is find the deck called the Kaishi 1.5K, which I linked down in the description. This deck right here is one of the most popular decks when it comes to learning Japanese. I personally haven't done the whole deck because when I was learning Japanese, this was not available. I did like other things, but this is a really high quality deck and everyone talks about it. And from what I've seen of it, I think it's really good because it's going to teach you these core words that are like the most common words that you need to know in Japanese. And so it's really good. Everyone loves this deck. So when you're in Anki, you just go to get shared. You're going to have to make an account with Anki, but go ahead and just hit Japanese. And it's linked like right here. So you just click it and it'll take you straight there, but I'll link it down below for convenience. There's endless decks out there that are really good if you guys want to do them. There's like grammar decks. There's all kinds of decks you can just like look at. That's the cool thing about Anki is that there's just all of this is free. You don't have to pay for any of this. And I know people like free stuff, so.
It's free real estate.
In order to install the deck, all you have to do is once you download the file, you can just drag it to Anki and then just go to import. It's very simple to do, and just go to study now. Now, don't do more than 10 cards a day. I think max you should do is 20. You shouldn't go over 20, but I think 10 cards is a very great thing for beginners, especially because it's very important that you don't want to get overwhelmed. The thing about flashcards is that you have to do them every single day. So keep in mind when you want to learn Japanese, and it's not just about flashcards, you want to set out a time aside that you're willing to commit every single day, whether that be 30 minutes or 6 hours. Stick to that time and try to do as much as you possibly can. The thing is, if you spend 6 or 8 hours a day on Japanese, then you could get fluent in as little as 2 to 3 years. A lot of people have actually done this using these methods. If you only do 30 minutes a day, it's going to take you a really long time. So minimum, I would do studying Japanese and all the methods I'm going to talk about. Minimum do 2 hours, because I think 2 hours honestly is a nice sweet spot in order to make some decent progress. Trust me, just trust me on this. And that's not only doing flashcards. I'm kind of jumping the gun here. Flashcards are going to be just this portion of your studying, so it's not going to be everything, but it is going to help you a lot. Flashcards are amazing. Now that you have that installed, what you want to go ahead and do is Google best grammar guides in Japanese, and you're going to be listed a bunch of these. It really doesn't matter which one that you pick, but just pick one. I know the most popular one is the Tae Kim's Guide to Learning Japanese. This by far, even when I started learning Japanese, this by far was the most talked about one. The creator of that Kaishi 1.5K deck recommends Imabi, and it really doesn't matter what you pick. But what you want to do is you just want to scroll through some of the basic grammar. You don't have to really stress out about grammar, but you need to learn about it. And these guides, there's a lot of guides out there. There's a lot of YouTube courses explain to you exactly how Japanese works, and it does a really good job at it. So what you want to do is spend probably at least 15 minutes to like 30 minutes a day scrolling through these guides and learn about how Japanese is structured. I think you should do at least a good 15 or 30-minute session before you start doing your flashcards, just to get a general flow of how Japanese typically is structured and how it works. But don't stress out about grammar, because the more that you actually immerse and you spend time in Japanese, you're going to encounter a lot of grammar. Even feel free to download an Anki deck, but again, you don't want to be too overwhelmed with Anki cards, because you're already going to be doing plenty with this starting deck right here. So I think it's just plenty if you just follow some of these guides, spend about 15 to 30 minutes a day. I think you will be just fine. So now that you understand like the basic sentence structure of Japanese, like wa, ga, no, the very simple stuff, I really think you should just get started with this deck right here. They give you a nice little message, and the way Anki works is that it's going to show you a card. So obviously this isn't a real card. You can actually just delete this card, but I'll just hit good. The first one will be watashi. So it just means I, and this is like the most basic thing you learn in any textbook or anything. And you're probably thinking, well, what about kanji? Right? Because kanji is a very big part of Japanese. There's hiragana, katakana, and then there's kanji. Well, now this is a little bit debated, and I might have a hot take on kanji. I actually do have a video on kanji that I talked about this. But before you get started with this deck, optionally, what you can do is quickly go over the first 2,000 kanji with using flashcards to get a feel of what kanjis are called, right? Like you'll learn that this is watashi, or you'll learn that this is like this means I, right? Or myself. When I was starting Japanese, I did go over the first like 2000 kanji, but here's the thing. I learned like what they were called by name, but I forgot a lot of that information. And I personally think, and this is the kind of the hot take that a lot of people have, I'm not the only one that has this opinion, but I realized that the more the vocabulary that I actually learned by doing flashcards, I actually didn't end up using a lot of that kanji knowledge that I have, and I just remembered what vocabulary looked like. So the more I encountered like watashi, I just knew that it was watashi because you've seen it over and over again. And that alone, by seeing words over and over again, you will just begin to know what they are because you read them over and over again. Just by learning names of individual kanji alone does not teach you how to read kanji. So while I think it's a good idea just to, go over the most basic kanji just to know what they're called, what they're called in English, it will help you a little bit in making guesses with vocabulary, but it's not going to teach you how to read. Let me explain a little bit more. Let's use this word as an example of what I'm talking about when it comes to kanji. So I don't know what these kanjis are called individually. I don't know what they mean individually. I mean, I know this word, benkyo, and I can assume that they are related to studying, but I actually don't remember exactly what these kanjis are called. But I've seen the word benkyo so many times because I do a lot of reading. Benkyo is a very common word, especially when you're learning Japanese, that I just know that this is benkyo because I've seen it so many times. While it would help to know that, okay, this kanji might be studying, this one might be whatever, that's great, but you still won't know how to read it. If I could just recall it in English, it doesn't explain how to read the actual word. But when I actually go to learn this word, you learn that means benkyo. See, kanjis have a lot of readings depending on the context that they're in, if they're alone or if they're, paired next to another kanji. But you don't need to worry about that when you're learning vocabulary because you will just learn the word, how it's used in the real written language every single day. Study kanji if you want to take that as a prerequisite to study the most popular kanji, do that. It will help you, but in my opinion, you don't actually have to do it if you want to save time. Now, this is also assuming that you don't want to write. If you want to write, then go ahead and study kanji. I didn't do that, and I think that's very time consuming. I don't live in Japan, so I don't need to write, and even a lot of Japanese people don't need to write. So if you want to write Japanese, then that's a whole different thing. And that would be great to study kanji for that reason. So while you're doing that grammar guide, right, reading through it, maybe just for a short period of time every day, or you could even just reference it whenever you want to. If you want to look something up, just reference a grammar guide as well. So while you're going through the deck and reading the grammar or whatever, what you want to do is spend the majority of your time not doing flashcards, but you want to watch anime, play video games, read manga. Well, maybe reading manga might be a little hard for you at first, but I think podcasts, watching anime are probably the best things that you could do, or watching a drama. And don't worry that you can't really understand it. It would be a good idea to watch something that is made for kids that would be easier to understand for people instead of jumping straight into something like Attack on Titan or something really hard. But if that stuff doesn't interest you, then yeah, jump into whatever it is that interests you to get a feel of how Japanese actually sounds. And the more that you do your flashcards in your studies, you're going to start to come across these words and be like, oh, I know that word. I learned that word today. And that's going to help solidify what you learned in Anki. So Anki is 20% of the learning. The rest is going to be in your immersion when it comes to watching shows that you like, listening to podcasts, whatever. That's going to be the bulk of your learning. So keep in mind that that's what you want to do, is just spend as much time as you can in Japanese in order to solidify the stuff that you learn through the grammar guides and through the, Anki. Reading is also great as well, just reading simple text, which you can go ahead and do. This is probably the best website in order to get into reading if you want to, and it's called Todoku Supporters, and it has a lot of really easy books with pictures and furigana. It's graded readers, so it's leveled, so you could change the level and you could basically read the easiest stuff. Once you get good at reading the easiest stuff, you could work your way up to the higher, more advanced stuff that's on the website. And this is very comprehensible. So once you have a basic understanding, you could, start to read this stuff, and you're going to see a bunch of words that you learned in that deck appear, and especially this easy stuff. And I think actually reading is super important. Right now, my main method of learning Japanese is actually just reading, because I actually got tired of Anki. I just switched to reading. So when I switched to reading, I actually just read a lot of these on the websites, and then I just switched to purely reading. Everybody's different. Whatever it is, just make sure the bulk of your study time is going to be in immersing yourself in Japanese. So it's not going to be only doing flashcards. I made that mistake a long time ago. Don't do that. So another thing that you're going to want to download that's super important is a browser extension called Yomitan, and it's completely free. And what it is an online dictionary. That way, any highlightable text that you see in Japanese, you can search it up and highlight it and look up the definition like on the fly. And it's super convenient. Here's an example. So I'm on a YouTube video with some subtitles, right? I just hit shift and bam. That tells you exactly how to read it, everything. And it even has audio. You can configure it to like play audio every time you look it up if it's available, and that's what I do. And you can use this for, again, any highlightable text. And so it doesn't work like these subtitles right here that you can't like select because it's baked into the video. You can't highlight that, but there's ways around that too. I have another video on that if you want to check that out. This is very, very helpful. You can even use this for grammar as well. It explains grammar. You can install, it's very versatile. You can install all the dictionaries and all the like the different like grammar stuff if you want. It tells you everything, like how it gives you an example of sentences. So this alone is a huge tool for learning Japanese. And when you start getting into reading, which I highly recommend, this is going to be very useful as well if you want to do the free method. So once you're finished with that deck that I told you to download, what you want to do now is start to use Yomitan, and you want to use Anki, and you want to create your own flashcards, but you don't want to just create any flashcard. What you want to try to find is a sentence where there's only one new word in that sentence. And then you will use that sentence and you will create a card on it. Because learning one piece of new information is way easier than learning like a sentence with like 10 new words in it. That's like way too overwhelming to try to figure out and read that sentence when you can't comprehend any of it. So yeah, find a sentence. So let's just assume that you don't know this word right here. Let's just treat this as a new word, right? And I want to make a flashcard out of it. So anyway, you can go into your Yomitan settings and you scroll down to Anki, and you can actually connect it to Anki. So you would click the enable Anki integration. Once you do that, there's a guide on how to set it up, which you can read right here. So you'll just click it. You click info and it tells you exactly how to set that up. So I'm not going to go through that, but it's very easy to do. But once you do have that connected, you just hit this plus and you just made an Anki card out of that word. And it's going to take the sentence and it's going to actually put it in the Anki card. So you're also going to want to download a program called ShareX because it's very convenient in creating Anki cards. That is also linked down below. And what ShareX actually allows you to do is at the click of a button, you can set it up to where you can take screenshots and you can take audio recordings very, very easily. So it's just like literally press one button and it puts it on your clipboard. So that way you can paste it into your Anki. Let's say I wanted to take a screenshot of this. That way I can be reminded of the context that I created that Anki card. This isn't the best example of a screenshot, but let's just do it anyway, just for the example here. So let's just say I needed this picture because I want context, right? Now, Anki does have some setup a little bit, but if you download that Kaishi deck that I was telling you about, when you're setting up the connection to Anki, it'll ask you like what note type and stuff that you want for your card creation, and you'll just use that Kaishi deck as the template for your card because it's a really good template. So you don't really need to set things up, but there's a lot of customization that I'm not going to get into with Anki. There's plenty of guides on how to customize Anki however you want that's related to Japanese, and I'm not going to go into that because well, I don't really use Anki a lot, but I used to. So I did set that up before, but the video would be way too long to talk about something like that. But because of that Kaishi deck, I have like these fields, right? And so because I took that screenshot using ShareX, I could just paste it right here. So now I have it right here. And again, this is all customizable and there's guides on how to do that. You can like take away fields and edit things however you want with Anki, but there is it's a little bit of a learning curve, but not rocket science. But I think Anki could be a little more user-friendly. And bam, look, so now when I go to show the sentence, I have a picture, and you can, again, customize it. You can put it on the front, you can put it on the back, and you can also do the same with audio. If I were to record with ShareX using audio, I actually can't do it because there's like a problem on my PC that's like not applicable to everyone. But you can even use things like Audacity. That's another program that works. And you would just record and paste the audio on any field, and it would play wherever you chose to have it. I hope that makes sense. But with using these shortcuts that ShareX allows you and using Yomitan, you can create cards in like 15-30 seconds, like probably less than that. Super fast. So now effectively what you're doing is you're just finding all of these sentences that you understand except for one word, and you're going to create a bank of these sentences. Again, you want to create like 10 a day, max 20 if you're going to be hardcore about it. I know some people that have done like 50 a day and they're insane. I don't know how you do that, because that's like a recipe for disaster. If you miss one day, you're done. And that alone, with spending the rest of your study time, the majority of your study time immersing, reading Japanese, listening, watching anime, playing video games, that alone is all you need in order to get better at Japanese and become fluent one day. And it's completely free. Oh, I forgot to mention that I'm gonna link a guide as well because I didn't show you how to set up ShareX. This guide right here made by Lionel versus Japan TV. So yeah, I'm gonna link this guide right here because this is a great guide on how to do it, because again, the video would be really long if I went through everything. So yeah, go through this guide if you wanna learn how to use ShareX. It's very great. Now, with all of that being said, there is a paid way to basically do everything that I talked about in this video, but at the click of a button. And if you value convenience and you don't want to install and do any of that stuff that I just talked about, then I'm going to talk to you about something called Migaku. So what Migaku is, it does all of the same things that Anki and Yomi-tan does, but it's just one browser extension. You do have to pay for it, but you just install it and it changes your subtitles and it makes them look really, really nice. And it automatically will highlight the unknown words that you have that you don't know already in the sentences. So here's an example right here. So according to my bank of words that I have on Migaku, it claims that I don't know this word. So it's dokutsu.
Dokutsu.
So it works exactly just like Yomi-tan, and it's very customizable as well. You could even generate pictures and such and stuff. And if I want to create a card on this, I just send it to the card creator, right? But what you just need to do right now is it actually recorded the audio for me and it took a screenshot. So now when I go to study it, which again, this requires like no downloading, really, it's just a browser extension. So it's all gonna work inside of your browser, but it also has an app to where you can study your flashcards and stuff. I think you can even create cards on mobile. I haven't done it myself, but I think you can create cards using mobile as well. So even if you don't have a PC, I think it's possible to use it, but I'm assuming that you have a desktop.
怖いね。うわ、ほらまたでかい洞窟があるここに。
But I just created this card and it has all of this information at the click of a button. So I didn't have to like screen record anything, so it's even faster. So if you value convenience and you don't mind spending a little bit of money every month, or if you want to buy the lifetime thing, then you can use my link down below in the description. It's $10 a month for standard. And then there's early access where you get like new features and stuff like that for $15 a month. And if you choose to do any of those plans, you get one free month like included when you buy it. So it's not a free trial. There is a 14-day money back guarantee if you want to try it out, but you do get a free month if you use my link. And if you decide to go with Lifetime, and right now Lifetime for just like a few more days, I'm a little late on this. Lifetime is like half off right now. Never pay full price for Lifetime, honestly, because they have these sales all the time. If you want to use my link, it would mean a lot to me. I'm partnered with Migaku. The reason why I'm partnered with them is because I think it's a fantastic way to learn Japanese because it's just so easy. You don't have to install anything. Oh, I forgot to mention something about Migaku is that it only works for Chrome. So if you don't use Chrome, then that would be kind of an issue. But most people do use Chrome. So if you do, it's only for Chrome right now. I'm not sure if they're ever gonna like change it, but just wanted to let you know that. But if you do decide to use my link, it would help out the channel a lot. I'm not sponsored, but I am partnered with them with an affiliate link. So every one that clicks that link and decides to sign up for any of the plans, I get a cut of it. And so yeah, thank you so much. It means a lot. And I didn't even go over everything that it has to offer. So another fantastic thing, I have a video on Migaku if you want to check that out before I was partnered with them. Another huge benefit to Migaku for beginners especially is that they have courses on everything that you need to know to get that base that I was talking about. So they have a whole course on Hiragana, Katakana, and the Japanese sound system. And they have like videos of people like speaking and stuff, making the sounds that you need to hear. It's actually really, really cool. And also this is like an equivalent of that Kaishi deck I was talking about. It's going to go over the 1700 like most common words. And it says it's the 80% of the most often words used in Japanese Netflix. It teaches you 380 of the most used Japanese grammar patterns. So it's going to go over grammar, and it's going to go over really, really good like words that you're going to need to know. They also have a Kanji Academy that goes over like, 800 of the most common kanji that appear. And then they have all of these other things about things that you can optionally choose. But if you were to do them all, you would have a very, very solid foundation. And then you could just use Migaku in order to mine words and create new flashcards for all the stuff that you want to mine. It works with like Netflix. It works with like almost any website where there's highlightable text. It works with local videos. You can use it for local videos if you have the subtitle files. And it's also great for reading as well. You can use it to read anything. So if you were to go to a website that has text, right? It's going to underline all the words that you don't know immediately. So if you wanted just to use Migaku for reading alone, it tells you how much of this page is comprehensible. And it does the same exact thing for YouTube videos as well. And for me, that is like huge. That's very, very huge. Based off of the words it knows that I know here on Migaku, it says that I have a comprehension score of 81%. So I understand 81% of what's on this page. So if you want to bring up an article, that would be a great way to gauge like, should I read this article? Is it too hard to read? It tells you immediately. So I think this tool is absolutely amazing, but it is mostly flashcard based. So if flashcards are like not your thing, then it's probably not the best thing, but you can't just use it to read. If you were to go on the reading side of things, I think you should probably go to something like Link. This is actually what I primarily use to read Japanese, because like I told you before, I stopped doing flashcards. And before I even knew about Migaku being a thing, I have a lifetime subscription to Link. So this is what I use, and it just basically lets you import things very similarly. There's a lot of pluses and minuses between Link and something like Migaku, but this is mainly for reading, and that's what I use it for. But if you just have Yomitan, you could just use Yomitan and look up words as you come across them, read stuff. You could do it for absolutely free, but these websites, they do cost money. So whether you go the free method or whether you go the Migaku method, I highly recommend either one. And there's actually tons of tools out there. Like I've heard of something called like ASB Player. There's a million other different ways to learn Japanese on the internet, but these are just methods that I recommend because it's really not that hard to do and install, and it works, and you can customize it to however you want. Whatever method you do, there's no reason why you can't start learning Japanese in 2026. And depending on how much like hours you spend on it is going to determine how far you get. So if you spend 8 hours a day, you're going to be fluent in like 2 or 3 years, because people have actually done that. I only get to spend like 2 hours a day most days. So for me, I'm still on my way. The one thing I didn't talk about in this video was speaking. So the thing with speaking is that pretty much you're going to want to start speaking whenever you feel like you're ready to start speaking. I don't think it's a good idea to start from day one, and a lot of people agree with this as well. And the reason why you shouldn't just start speaking from day one immediately with like a tutor on like italki or whatever it is because you're not going to be able to understand anything. But when you use like these methods for a bit, you're going to start comprehending the things that you watch, because you're spending every day like listening to Japanese. So whenever you go to do tutoring lessons, you're going to actually understand your teacher. You won't be able to say a lot, but you're going to have that base to where it's going to be able, things are going to start clicking a lot easier because you've learned it and you've seen things over and over again. So, but remember Anki, Migaku, those are just tools to help you. Like I said, I dropped flashcards completely, and I only recommend it because I think it's a fantastic way to get information fast. But if you decide that you hate learning with flashcards, you can totally drop it, but just immerse yourself in Japanese, just keep reading, listening, and watching, and you will be fine. So don't overcomplicate this. Learning Japanese should be fun for you. So make sure whatever method you're using is fun for you. Well, even if it's using textbooks, just know when you start speaking that you don't want to talk like a textbook. My advice for when you start speaking, and it's something that I'm actually currently going through right now to get better, is to find someone that you actually want to sound like and just like consume their content a lot and try to talk like them. And that's pretty safe advice, I would say. But don't talk like a textbook, because everyone's going to immediately know that you're a beginner, and it's just not how people actually sound in real life. And that's the thing that kind of blows my mind. I don't know why textbooks do that. They don't tell you this is how people actually talk. Those are my general tips. I hope this video helped you. Get out there and go do it, and I think you'll be just fine. It's all about how much time you spend on it per day. It's going to be the biggest difference between someone that spends 10 or 30 minutes a day. Yeah, and if you spend like 6 to 8 hours a day, big world of difference. And have fun with it. That's going to be the most important thing. So hope this video helps. You can use my Migaku link if you want. It would help the channel out a lot. But if not, do the freeway. That works just fine. Just a little more inconvenient. Hope you have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye now.